Welcome to the AI Desk, your weekly briefing on AI and tech. Every week, I cover what actually matters, how AI is reshaping the way we work. Subscribe to stay ahead. Claude Code just shipped Git worktree support. Agents can now run in parallel, each in their own isolated branch. Should you delete your Claude.md file? A study from ETH Zurich says yes. Code declared this week that the coding agent is dead. Anthropic accuses DeepSeek of industrial theft. 16 million conversations extracted to train their models. And Opus 4.6 found 500 vulnerabilities in open source code. Some had been dormant for decades. Let's go. All right, let's start with Claude Code. This week, it got native support for Git worktrees, and honestly, it changes how you work with agents. Claude Code just received native support for Git worktrees. Brian Sherney, an engineer at Anthropic, announced it this week. What exactly is a worktree? It's the ability to check out multiple branches of a project into separate folders on your machine. You can modify different branches at the same time independently without switching context in your IDE. The Claude worktree command automatically creates an isolated working folder. Claude can make its changes, commits, and pushes there without touching your main branch. Sub-agents also support this feature. You can orchestrate multiple agents in parallel, each in their own space. You launch an idea in a new worktree, Claude Works, and you get the result back via a pull request. Another feature, and this one we've been waiting for, session mobility. You transfer a CLI session into the desktop app via the desktop command, or you push it to the cloud to resume it from the web or your phone. Now, should you even keep that Claude.md file? Theo from t3.gg posted this week, delete your Claude.md file. I have a study to prove it. The study was published on February 12th by researchers at ETH Zurich. Evaluating agents.md. Are repository-level context files helpful for coding agents? Their conclusion is clear. AI-generated context files lower performance by 3% on average and increase costs by more than 20%. Across the 4 models tested, AI-generated context files degraded results in 5 out of 8 cases. The file meant to help the agent hurts its performance. In numbers, the agent takes an average of 3 to 4 extra steps with a context file for a worse result. Theo tested it himself and calls this the pink elephant effect. If you tell the AI not to do something, it thinks about it and ends up doing it anyway. Negative instructions distract the model. The recommendation, if your AI struggles to understand your code is poorly structured. Improve your tests, your types, your architecture, not the Claude.md file. And speaking of tools that might be overrated, is the coding agent itself dead? This week, Code published an article with a surprising title, The Coding Agent is Dead. Their analysis, until recently, tools like AMP were used to guide models, to teach them how to plan, iterate, and execute code autonomously. Today, models know how to do that natively. Simple bash access is enough. The real bottleneck is no longer in the agent. It's in how code is organized and how teams use these tools. AMP is drawing the consequences of this analysis. The VS Code and cursor extensions are being removed on March 5th, 2026. Only the CLI remains. Lightweight, flexible, forward-looking. AMP now describes itself as an arrow, a continuous movement, not a fixed destination. Oh wow, that's actually kind of poetic. Meanwhile, Anthropic dropped a serious report this week and the accusations are heavy. Anthropic published a report this week with serious accusations. 3 Chinese labs allegedly organized campaigns to copy Claude's capabilities. Here's how it works. You create thousands of fake accounts on the Claude API. You send massive queries to the model. You use its responses to train your own model. Result, your model learns to behave like Claude at a fraction of the cost. That's a distillation attack. Anthropic accuses DeepSeek, Moonshot AI, and Minimax of doing this at scale. 24,000 fraudulent accounts created on their services. 16 million conversations with Claude extracted to train their models. Anthropic argues that these distilled models represent a security risk. Without the safeguards built into Claude, they could be used for cyber attacks or disinformation. Theo from 3.gg concluded Anthropic is lying in this report. His main argument, the numbers don't add up. Anthropic cites 150,000 exchanges for DeepSeek. T3 Chat, Theo's product, handles 160,000 per day. He adds a technical nuance. In modern agents, a single user request can trigger dozens of technical exchanges. The millions of exchanges cited could simply reflect normal API usage. Theo goes further. If Claude refuses to respond to requests related to cyber attacks or disinformation, that data simply doesn't exist in the extracted conversations. He accuses Anthropic of mainly trying to push governments to ban open-weight models, the only major lab that has never released one. Theo invited Anthropic to provide him with private evidence. The case remains open. And on the security front, Claude Code itself is now hunting vulnerabilities in open source code. Anthropic published an article this week titled Making Frontier Cybersecurity Capabilities Available to Defenders. Claude Code can now scan a code base to detect vulnerabilities. Traditional tools look for known patterns, a typical SQL injection, a classic overflow. Claude reads code like a developer. It understands who calls what, how data flows from one function to another. Over 500 vulnerabilities were found in open source code bases. Some had been sitting there for decades. The GhostScript example illustrates the method well. Claude analyzed the Git history, spotted a suspicious commit related to bounds checking, and reasoned about the state of the code before that fix. It concluded the previous version was vulnerable and searched for similar unpatched occurrences elsewhere. The same logic with cgif, a GIF processing library. Claude identified an incorrect assumption about buffer size and proved it could be exploited. AI could become a standard for hardening application security. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe to the AI Desk. New videos every week, links in the description. See you next time.